All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest questions you can ask. Do parallel universes actually exist? But we're not just going to look at it from one angle. We're going to explore this whole idea from three really powerful perspectives that are starting to converge: science, religion, and our very own personal experience. So first things first, what do we even mean when we say parallel universe? Is it another you living a different life? Is it a totally separate dimension? This is the core mystery we're going to try and unpack together. And what's so fascinating is how this one single question acts like a bridge. It connects these huge areas of human thought that we usually keep in separate boxes, right? Science, philosophy, religion. It turns out they're all wrestling with the same fundamental idea of other worlds. Now, just so we're all on the same page, the goal here is not to pick a winner. We're not trying to prove that one perspective is right and the others are wrong. Nope. What we're doing is looking for the really surprising and meaningful connections between them. Let's see where these different ways of thinking actually start to overlap. Okay, so let's start with the most ancient perspective, the one that's been woven into human culture for thousands of years: religion. The ideas here are foundational to how billions of people see reality, so it's the perfect place to begin. I mean, think about it for a second. Almost every major religion, when you get right down to it, is an interdimensional conversation. It talks about a beginning before this world and a world that comes after. It talks about heaven and hell, judgment, and this concept of eternity that exists completely outside of our normal everyday sense of time.
A lot of religions make this really bold claim. We didn't start here on Earth. We arrived. And that idea immediately opens up a huge question. If we landed here, then where were we before? That simple question just automatically sets up the idea of another realm that existed before this.
So from this religious viewpoint, the crucial idea is that our life here, well, it's not the main event. It's described as a temporary interface. I absolutely love that metaphor. It's so modern and gets the point across perfectly. It suggests our physical world is just a screen we're interacting with for a little while. And to build on that, you could almost think of our world as a kind of augmented reality. For instance, the Qur'an says that the life of this world is nothing but play and illusion. This suggests our physical reality is just a temporary layer, kind of like a game, that's placed over a much more permanent, a much more real existence that's happening somewhere else entirely.
And this is where it gets really interesting. This idea of a non-physical existence that's outside of our concept of time, well, it finds a surprising echo in modern science. While religion makes this claim based on faith, physics is now being forced to ask a bizarrely similar question based on hard data. Seriously, how can a single particle exist in two places at the exact same time?
And that question right there, that's our bridge into the next realm of thought. Let's pivot to science and see how the incredibly strange world of quantum mechanics is, maybe without even meaning to, opening the door to these ancient ideas. Okay, so at the quantum level, we're talking about this super, super tiny world of atoms and particles. Reality gets weird, and I mean really weird. Physicists have found that time isn't strictly a one-way street, that multiple potential futures can kind of exist at the same time, and yep, a single electron can absolutely be in two places at once. And here's the kicker. This isn't philosophy or some wild guess. It's been observed and measured in experiments. The most famous example of this weirdness is the double-slit experiment. It sounds simple. You shoot tiny particles, like electrons, at a wall with two little slits in it. When you are not looking to see which slit the electron goes through, it acts like a wave and creates an interference pattern on the other side. But, and this is the part that will bake your noodle, the moment you put a detector there to watch which slit it goes through, everything changes. It stops acting like a wave and behaves like a tiny, solid particle. The implication of this is just staggering. The physical reality of that particle seems to change based on whether or not it's being observed. The simple act of looking at it appears to change the outcome. It's as if the universe itself knows when it's being watched. Just let that sink in for a second. Okay, so from the deep strangeness of the quantum world, let's bring this whole conversation down to something we all experience personally, a realm where our consciousness doesn't just influence reality, it actually creates it. Let's talk about that portal you open up every single night, your dreams. Let's just compare them side by side. In our waking world, right, physics are predictable. Time moves forward. But in the dream world, the laws of physics are totally fluid. Gravity might not work, time can skip, loop, or just stand still.
And that whole reality feels completely 100% real to you, but you can only get there when you're asleep. I mean, isn't that a kind of personal parallel universe that you visit every night? And this very personal experience connects right back to that religious perspective we started with. This verse from the Qur'an describes sleep as a time when the soul is taken, almost like a temporary checkout. It frames dreaming not just as your brain doing its thing, but as a kind of daily inter-realm travel. So, we've looked through the lens of religion, we've peeked through the lens of science, and we've held up the mirror of our own nightly experiences. Now, let's pull all these threads together and see what the whole picture starts to look like. So, let's just lay it out. When we ask the great faith traditions if other realms exist, the answer is a clear, unambiguous, resounding yes. For thousands of years, this has been a core belief, not some fringe idea. Now, when we turn to science, the answer is a bit more cautious, but it's definitely leaning in the same direction. The totally bizarre but observable facts of the quantum world are forcing physicists to seriously consider possibilities that, frankly, used to sound like science fiction. The evidence is pushing them towards a hesitant but increasingly undeniable yes. And finally, your own life, your own experience confirms it. Every single night when you dream, you enter a separate, non-physical reality that feels completely and totally real while you're in it. Your own mind provides the proof, nightly. So from this perspective, the answer is also absolutely yes. So after all this, it all leads to one final, powerful question we have to ask ourselves. When you see evidence for other realities coming from so many different angles, from ancient faith to modern physics to your own dreams, you have to wonder, is this world we're living in right now the final destination? Or is it something else entirely? Maybe, just maybe, it's the training ground for a much larger, much more real existence that's still to come.